Imagine stepping off a streetcar in Manhattan, 1925. The air vibrates with sound, horns blaring from Model T Fords, newsboys shouting headlines, and somewhere in the distance, the unmistakable wail of a saxophone drifting from a basement speakeasy. The streets glow with electric lights. Women pass by in short skirts and bobbed hair, and everything feels alive with possibility. This is New York in the Roaring Twenties, a city that never sleeps, where jazz is the heartbeat and every night promises something extraordinary. But what was it really like to live through this electric era? Not just the glamorous parties we see in movies, but the real, everyday experience of ordinary New Yorkers navigating this fast-changing world. The 1920s transformed New York into a modern metropolis. Following World War I, the city exploded with over 7 million residents packed into its 5 boroughs. Prohibition had just begun. Alcohol was illegal, yet flowing more freely than ever through underground clubs. The economy boomed, skyscrapers climbed higher each year, and new technologies like radio and electric appliances were reshaping domestic life. This was also the era of the Harlem Renaissance, women winning the right to vote, and jazz music exploding from black communities into the mainstream. Immigration was bringing diverse cultures together in tenement buildings and neighborhoods, creating a vibrant, sometimes chaotic urban tapestry. But history isn't just about cultural movements and economics. It's about people. Let's follow an ordinary day in the life of New Yorkers during this remarkable decade. For most working-class New Yorkers, the day began in cramped quarters. A typical family might share a 3-room tenement apartment with 6 people: parents, children, perhaps a grandparent or boarder helping with rent. These buildings line the Lower East Side and Brooklyn neighborhoods, where brick walls barely muffled the sounds of dozens of families living side by side. You'd wake to the clatter of elevated trains rumbling past windows, the smell of coffee brewing on a coal stove, and children already arguing over who gets to wash up first at the single sink. Many apartments still lacked private bathrooms. Shared toilets in the hallway were common. Women would heat water in kettles for washing, carefully rationing what they had. Breakfast was simple but filling. Working families ate oatmeal or bread with butter, maybe eggs if money allowed that week. Coffee was essential. Middle-class families in nicer brownstones might enjoy bacon, toast with jam, and fresh milk delivered by horse-drawn wagons that still competed with automobiles on the streets. Getting dressed was its own ritual. Women no longer wore the corsets and floor-length dresses of previous decades. The flapper style, dropped waist dresses ending at the knee, silk stockings, and cloche hats, represented freedom, though working women often saved these fashionable pieces for evenings out. Men wore suits and fedoras as standard. Even factory workers kept a decent jacket for the commute. By 8 a.m., the city was in full motion. Workers flooded subway platforms. The system had expanded rapidly in the 1920s, making it possible for people to live in the Bronx or Queens and commute to jobs in Manhattan. The cars were packed, men reading newspapers, women clutching handbags, everyone swaying together as trains screeched through dark tunnels. Work varied dramatically by class and background. Thousands labored in garment factories, hunched over sewing machines in the garment district, producing the very flapper dresses that symbolize the era. Others worked in the bustling office buildings shooting up across Midtown. Secretaries typing on new electric typewriters, clerks filing papers, salesmen making calls. The streets themselves were workplaces. Pushcart vendors sold everything from pickles to shoelaces, calling out in Yiddish, Italian, and broken English. Newsboys, Often children as young as 8 hawked papers on corners, their voices competing with traffic noise. Shop girls stood behind counters in department stores like Macy's and Gimbel's, serving the new consumer class buying ready-made goods. Lunch breaks were short. Workers might grab a hot dog from a street cart for a nickel, or sit at a crowded diner counter eating meatloaf and potatoes. The cafeteria-style restaurant was becoming popular. You'd slide your tray along, pointing at what you wanted. Fast, cheap, efficient. Very New York. As the workday ended, the city transformed. This was when 1920s New York truly came alive. Electric lights blazed in shop windows and on Broadway, creating what people called the Great White Way. The streets hummed with possibility. For entertainment, New Yorkers had countless options. Movie palaces showed silent films, though by 1927, talkies would arrive and change everything. Theaters on Broadway staged elaborate shows. Coney Island drew crowds on summer evenings with its roller coasters and beach. But nothing defined the era quite like the Speakeasies. Despite Prohibition making alcohol illegal, Speakeasies thrived throughout the city. You'd knock on an unmarked door, whisper a password, and descend into a basement filled with cigarette smoke, clinking glasses, and live jazz. The music was everything: syncopated rhythms, improvisation, energy. Bands led by Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and countless others created the soundtrack of the decade. These clubs mixed people in ways that were rare for the time. Wealthy whites ventured to Harlem clubs like the Cotton Club to hear black musicians, though the venues themselves were often segregated. Still, jazz was breaking down barriers, spreading from its African-American roots to become the defining sound of the age. For those who couldn't afford clubs, there were dance halls where couples did the Charleston to phonograph records. House parties were common. Someone would bring bootleg gin, roll back the rugs, and neighbors would dance until the landlord pounded on the ceiling. No discussion of 1920s New York is complete without understanding Harlem. During this decade, the neighborhood became the cultural capital of Black America. The Great Migration had brought African Americans from the South, seeking opportunity and freedom from Jim Crow laws. What they created was extraordinary. Writers like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston were producing groundbreaking work. The journal, The Crisis, edited by W.E.B. Du Bois, published poetry and essays that challenged American racism. Artists painted vibrant scenes of Black life. Intellectuals gathered in salons to debate politics and philosophy. On Harlem streets, the energy was palpable. 125th Street buzzed with shops, restaurants, and theaters. The Apollo Theater would soon become legendary. Churches held passionate services on Sunday mornings, then the same buildings might host jazz concerts by evening. This was a community building its own institutions, celebrating its own culture, demanding recognition. Yet life wasn't without struggles. Discrimination persisted everywhere, in jobs, housing, basic services. The vibrant culture existed alongside poverty and inequality. The Renaissance was both a celebration and a declaration. We are here, we matter, and we will be heard. 1920s New York was a city of stark contrasts. On the Upper East Side and along Park Avenue, the wealthy lived in a different world entirely. Mansions and luxury apartment buildings boasted doormen, elevators, and central heating. Families employed full-time servants, cooks, maids, chauffeurs. Dinner parties featured multiple courses served on fine china, with jazz bands hired for entertainment. These were the people buying stocks with borrowed money, convinced prosperity would never end. They drove luxury cars, vacationed in Europe, and spent extravagantly on the latest fashions. Their children attended private schools and debutante balls. This was the roaring part of the Roaring Twenties, champagne flowing freely despite Prohibition, parties that lasted until dawn. Meanwhile, in the same city, immigrant families crowded into tenements where winter meant huddling near the stove and summer brought stifling heat. Children slept 3 to a bed. Mothers stretched every penny, shopping at pushcarts for the cheapest vegetables, mending clothes until they couldn't be mended anymore. The gap was visible every day. A poor worker passing the Plaza Hotel would see automobiles dropping off women in fur coats while he was heading to a 12-hour shift. Yet there was also mobility. Some immigrant families were climbing into the middle class through hard work and education. The city promised opportunity, even if it didn't always deliver. As night deepened, families returned to their apartments. In tenements, mothers put children to bed in rooms still warm from the day's heat. Fathers read newspapers by lamplight. Though electric lights were becoming common, many buildings still relied on gas. Some people gathered around new radio sets, a revolutionary technology bringing music, news, and entertainment into homes. Life in 1920s New York wasn't easy. Tuberculosis and other diseases still killed thousands yearly, especially in crowded neighborhoods. Medical care was expensive and limited. Working hours were long. Many labored 6 days a week with minimal vacation. Child labor, while decreasing, still existed in various forms. Women, despite winning the vote in 1920, faced significant limitations. Most professions remained closed to them. Society expected women to give up careers upon marriage. The freedom represented by shorter skirts and jazz clubs existed within narrow boundaries. Stepping too far outside social norms brought harsh judgment. Yet people found joy and meaning. Families shared meals, told stories, maintained traditions from old countries while building new American identities. Communities supported each other through churches, synagogues, social clubs, and neighborhood networks. The struggle was real, but so was the hope. Walking through New York today, you can still see echoes of the 1920s. The subway tunnels carry the same routes, though the cars are sleeker. Tenement buildings still stand in the Lower East Side, now converted to trendy apartments. Jazz clubs continue to thrive in Greenwich Village and Harlem, keeping that musical heritage alive. In many ways, we're not so different from people of that era. We chase similar dreams: financial security, meaningful work, time with loved ones, moments of joy and music and dancing. They navigated rapid technological change just as we do. They struggled with inequality, cultural clashes, and questions about what kind of society they wanted to build. The 1920s shaped modern urban life in profound ways. The consumer culture, entertainment industry, and diverse metropolitan character we associate with New York were all forged in this decade. Understanding how ordinary people live through it helps us appreciate both how far we've come and how some challenges remain timeless. Close your eyes and picture yourself on a 1920s street corner, the jazz flowing from a basement club, the electric lights glowing, the city alive with energy and possibility. That spirit, that sense of constant motion and reinvention still defines New York today.